we have Glen Davidson, who's an artist from East Yorkshire and plans on turning a professional artist in the very near future. Glen, hope you can hear us. Over to you.
How are you doing there? You okay?
We're all good, Glen. Over to you. Introduce yourself and your artwork.
Okay, well, my name's Glen. I'm a painter, sculptor, and performance artist. I also enjoy doing life drawing. My style ranges from abstract to impressionistic paintings to realism and surrealism. I started a degree about 8 years ago as a mature student in contemporary fine art practice at the Hull College of Arts. This course was fantastic. It really took me out of my comfort zone. Great example of this, I remember one day when I was in one of my classes and I made a very large oil painting of a seascape, and the tutors came up to me and they asked me to smudge the whole thing out and make it unrecognisable, and then they asked me to put the painting on the floor and start to pour things onto the painting like bits of varnish and thinners. And the interesting thing was that I was starting to find some really interesting marks appear, and to cut long story short, eventually, later down in the year, I ended up getting that painting exhibited into the Ferrens Art Gallery. And since then, I've exhibited lots of paintings and I've lots of exhibitions. And it's really, my lesson is you've got to push yourself and experiment. And you've got to make mistakes on the way of doing so. I'd like to look at one of my first submissions, which is Resurrection, which is the horse. I don't know if have you got that there on the screen there?
We have, yes, we can see it here.
Just wait for you to get that.
Yes, we have. We can see it
okay,
here.
Okay, basically, I don't know if you're getting the horse on there. The painting is it's a surreal painting, and I've used the horse as a symbol. Okay, yeah, I've used the horse as a symbol like you would in the Renaissance painting. That's great. I've used it as it symbolises Mother Nature and the beauty that our planet holds. I've got light coming through the trees with like a slight warmth, which is to represent hope. And the message of this painting is that, you know, we can make changes to our planet. Instead of the doom and gloom that we have with society, it's an encouraging, wholesome picture that's saying, you know, the horse is resurrected. It's showing our planet's former glory. I'll go through to the next painting because I know we haven't got much time. The next one is called the New York Tramp. And okay, I'll tell you about the New York Tramp if it's going on there. And basically, we're doing the Amsterdam Voyage. Oh, okay, we're doing that one. Yeah. Now, what happened here was I wanted to really focus on the expression on this poor man's face. He's had a lot of hard times in his life. And he's thinking very hardly, and he looks like he's got this thought in his mind saying, why is this happening to me? And what I've done on the actual painting, I've put some slight colour near the eye to draw you into his thinking process. And I've used very relaxed brush strokes whilst doing this painting. And what I'll do is I'll take you through to the final painting, which is called Amsterdam Voyage. If you can get up on there. Yeah, basically this one, this is a painting of my dad, myself, and my brother. And my dad had just recently finished chemotherapy for esophagus cancer. Now, the treatment had proved to be very successful. And what happened was we decided to go on a holiday. Now, there's a moment in time where I took a picture and all the pain and suffering has gone. And this is the magic about art to me, is that you can have meaning and tell a story through your paints. If you look closely into this painting, I've used a reference to cubism, and I've used very subtle colour. And the idea is just to not distract anything from the expression on all of our faces, where it's one moment that's been captured in time, which is a very happy one. Thanks ever so much for listening, everybody.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much, Glen. Those are really interesting pieces of art there. Let's go over to Sujata. Sujata, please tell me, what are your comments on Glen's pieces of work?
My comments that the first work, the horse work, which is has a good mix of landscape and a horse at the same time, is a very well blend by color scheme also, you know, and it has something there which is very interesting. Another thing which struck me that he has a very special way of portrait painting. He has his technique, he has his style, and I'm sure he can further work on it. But he has his something which is original there, with the jacket, with the portrait, the way he's showing it, his way of expression, feelings. Of course, the subject, choosing subject is a very personal thing, you know. That doesn't matter, but I see that handling is very, very interesting. Yes, and of course his hand is good, there's no doubt about it. Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Sujata. Geeta, what are your thoughts?
Hi, Glenn. My thoughts, wonderful. I think my first impressions were it carries a lot of emotions in all of the three pieces that you have presented. Super stunning work with the horse. Of course, you know, it defies belief that it is actually a painting. Although you attach so much symbolism to the horse and, you know, relating it to the current times and so on, that can be subjective or objective, whatever it is. But the sheer beauty of this pedigree horse alone is enough to believe in creation and preservation, you know. So what the other striking aspect that I noticed that was understanding the anatomy of the horse, even when it's standing in a normal position, is hard enough, let alone being twisted, you know, turning it around like that. So my thoughts were going, so you had to be really careful in getting those proportions right and so on. So impeccable work in that one, and loved the background. It just lends itself to highlight your work that is more prominent in the forefront. And about the Amsterdam voyage, I was drawn. What I liked firstly was the pixelated effect that you had given, you know, through the background and on their, you know, coats and so suits and all that. And fascinating thing for me was those expressions. All three of you had very different emotions, and all of them were very related to the topic that you had suggested for it. You know, a sense of gratitude, a sense of relief, and so on. And you brought in the idea of Amsterdam with the, you know, cobbled grounds and the bicycle, which is a mark of, you know, Amsterdam. So things like that, you know, made it a complete picture for me, that one. And the New York tramp, I thought was a very daring attempt, and you put yourself to be very vulnerable in handling that, because there's nothing else to help you but to project on that, you know, close-up of that image and the expression and the, you know, detailing. Although I must say it is not comparable to the horse that you had given so much details, yet this one was, you know, it's still, I could see that you weren't so worried about the details, but yet it was a daring piece, and I actually loved that. That was one of my favorites. Wishing you the very best, Glenn.
Thank you.
Lovely. Thank you very much, Geeta. Richard.
Glenn, I'm really excited to hear about your journey, where you've come from, and your ambitions and hopes. About 100 years ago, an artist called Paul Nash did a painting of the First World War battlefields. He'd been a war artist, he'd been in the First World War in the trenches, and he did this painting called "We Are Making a New World." And it shows a kind of a battle landscape with trees which are exploded, and coming over the back of some distant hills through the trees is a sun. The colours in that are heightened and kind of almost explode this sense of hope. I really see what you're doing with Resurrection, but I think you could go further. I think it could be more. If you want to show hope, it's too muted. It doesn't say hope to me. It's too muted in that background. And I'm going to disagree with my two judges about the horse. The horse on the head is lovely, but I'm distracted by the flanks. What I will say is that my wife and daughter aren't around at the moment, because they go and they have horses. I go and go and spend time with horses every day. The side isn't right. The highlights, the shadows are too exaggerated. They're not right. And because you're trying to be very realistic, you've got it wrong. and if you want to be that realistic, you need to make sure that you're not doing an artistic highlights, you know, doing it artistically. You need to know that you're doing it anatomically, and the anatomy isn't quite right. So I'd go there, and I'd say the same with the New York Tramp. I love the New York Tramp, but then I look at his hands and I think the hand doesn't work, and the hand is so powerful, but it's as though you've decided I want to take it a bit further with the mark making, and yet you're balancing it with, again, with realism and representation, and you just tipped over, and I would pull it back, and I'd say the same with the blue in the eye. That's the kind of thing I'd expect to see at art college. It's a kind of fun, oh, this is an idea, I can emphasize things. But as you move into being a professional artist, sometimes you need to pull back on those, what I call the student, let's do a big bash effect, and say, I don't need to do that to get the same effect and actually be more powerful, because the blue distracts me. I wonder, why is it there? Have you made a mistake and then decided not to take it out? It doesn't speak about what you wanted to speak. It just is a blue, which in a sense isn't saying, you know, as powerfully what you need to say. And that's the same with the hand. Just rein it back and your technique will take you so far. But you're at that kind of cusp where, in a sense, you're rushing to do lots of things because you can, and maybe just pull back a little bit and you'll go even further. But really exciting where you are. I wish you all the success. I'm sure you will have lots of success, but just, you know, just be careful, you know, at this stage in where you're going.
That's lovely. Thank you very much, Richard. Thank you very much. Glenn, I've got to say, you've got a huge number of fans in the chat box as well, it seems. But what are your thoughts on what the judges have said?
Yeah, that's great feedback. You know, I'm so excited to be involved in this competition, and you know, to have people recognising my work, and you know, as I said earlier on, that you know, we've all got to experiment, and we've got to make mistakes to improve. So I take on board what, you know, what the judges say, and you know, we can always improve, you know, and that's my aim, is just to keep improving all the time, and progress, you know. So, but it's been fabulous to hear all your comments, and I wish you all the very best.
That's lovely. Thank you very much, Glenn. Thanks for showing us your artwork. Then we wish you the best of luck in this contest.